Hello, everyone. Welcome to another week's edition of the Sea Live podcast. My name's Sam. Thank you so much for joining in this evening. As always, I've got my trusted friend and podcast sidekick, Mr. Chris Barnes.
Hey!
We love a double hand wave.
Classic wave.
Hey, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate. Oh, yeah, you got a cap on tonight.
Let's just pass by that because the sideys are not great tonight.
Look, it's here that you're hiding. Look at the state of this thing. And you know what? I'm just going with it now. Every week, I'm going to look back over the last few weeks just to see how it's going on hair-wise, and then I can compare. But it's getting out of control now. It's going out and long at the back, so it's becoming sort of a mullet here and sort of wide here. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Put it this way, I'm not taking this off. Not one bit. I'm not doing it. Not for anyone. Not even for you. Folks at home, please make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So on Facebook, it's at Sea Live. On Twitter, it's Sea Live Enter 1, and on Instagram, it's Sea Live UK. Let's talk about our guest. Our guest is a bit magic, folks. We like a bit of magic, don't we? Do you like a bit of magic, Chris?
We do like a bit of magic.
So we actually ran into Barry the Magician. So let's introduce him. Barry the Magician. Hello, Barry.
How are we? Good to be here. I should let you know, by the way, that I am live at Barnard Castle today. For anyone that cares.
How was the drive?
Long, 5 hours.
And are your eyes all right?
By the end of it, I'd say that they're not too bad. It was a bit of a mess to start with. Oh dear.
You've got to laugh at that situation. To be fair,
to be fair though, we don't talk about politics on this show.
We don't talk politics.
That'll be the only mention of it.
So how are you, mate?
I'm good. Very good. Well, lockdown has been interesting because I'm still working. I'm still
from home. Yeah, right. Okay.
I suppose I should clear up right now that I'm not full-time magic for those who have just kind of cottoned onto that. I still have a day job in banking, so as that's technically a key worker job, I'm still working. So I'm working from home pretty much most of the time. So yeah, I've not really found myself.
Have you found yourself? You've got into a little routine, a home routine. You've got a small child like me, and it's hard to get that routine going at first. I found, but once you're in it, it's fab. I think it's great.
I think it's difficult to get into that routine, or maybe to get used to the routine. I probably slipped into the routine a little bit easier than I thought I would at first. And you know what's worrying me now? Getting out of the routine.
Out of the routine. People have said that to me. They said, I'm quite now enjoying myself.
Absolutely.
To the stage where, I can get used to this.
Honestly, it's tricky. You get to spend, you've not got that time travelling, you've not got the time driving to work. Or I work between Skelmersdale and Manchester, so some days it's an hour on the train to Manchester there, and then another hour back, waiting for the train, driving to Skelmersdale. You've got all that time now where you can literally just fall out of bed, get to work, and
into the office.
Or have all that time with your family as well. You've just made up so much time. It's unbelievable.
I think that's one positive that's come out of lockdown is the ability to spend time with your family. But obviously, the outer reaches of your family, you can't. But I think everyone's kind of got onto the whole social media and the whole FaceTime, Skype, Zoom calls. And, the older generation seem to be getting on it. So I don't know about your extended family and what they've been up to.
Pretty much the same, yeah. We've managed to get me nan on Skype.
Oh, fab.
Yeah, and as you know, you've seen me in the last 2 days what I'm like with Skype, and I am dreadful. I've had to turn the camera on because I didn't know. So yeah, at least we've got that, and we're lucky in the respect that all of our family are relatively close in witness as well.
Yeah.
So even with social distancing measures, we are still able to see people. So it's.
I think that's the important thing, isn't it? Once you get into that habit, then of it's going to take time, and once you get into the habit of standing at the end of the garden, just waving to It's better than nothing, isn't it?
And that's the best way to look at it, really, at the minute. Everybody's missing the hugs with the little one, of course, but it is what it is. We've just got to deal with it and just wait for it to blow over.
Me and Catherine were saying yesterday, it's we'll just be like, there you go. With Theo when we can. Yeah, you need to do your grandparenting duties now. And bring it on.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, even with likes of nurseries and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's the serious side of it. I know we're joking with stuff like that, but it is a serious issue, and we've still got to, I think, be cautious for the next couple of months. If I'm honest with you, me and Sam are under the realization that bit with the Sea Live way, but things are ticking over, aren't they, Sam?
They're ticking over, and I think the important thing is that obviously social distancing is becoming less of a thing, even though it is a thing. Obviously, the weather helps to some extent. That it's nice, but it also increases the volatility and increasing people wanting to go to beaches and parks and spend time with one another. But it's obviously so important to just stay away from those areas and really stay at home. People are still dying. There's still the total for the coronavirus. I don't know what the number is for today, but I know it's yesterday it was still people are dying from it. So you just got to you've got to do what you've got to do, which is stay inside.
What he's clearly saying though is he can't wait to give me a hug.
Well, to be fair, I've waited a very long time to do that. A very, very long.
We've had a few virtual hugs on here over the last few weeks.
But no, we are opening up our operations on Sea Live. We are wanting to speak to as many people and venues in the next couple of weeks, because we know things are going to be opening up. Pubs, clubs, venues. If you're a pub, if you're a venue, if you're a restaurant looking for acts, make sure you get in contact with us, Sea Live, and we'll send you some great acts and also great magicians as well. And Barry, you came aboard when we met you at a wedding fair, and we talked to you, and just being amazed by the fact that one, you can do magic, but kind of the style of magic that you do, being not only a magician but also an illusionist as well, and being able to read minds is something that me and Chris were kind of blown away by.
Well, it's good.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, the only way I could put it is if you'd imagine the state. Before we came on here, you kind of asked me what is the state of, say, magic in the Northwest at the moment, right? And I think at the moment, magic as a whole is a bit of an odd one, right? The best way I could put it in your terms is imagine every band at a wedding did the exact same covers in the exact same order from beginning to end, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of people now who are seeing magicians, and then they're seeing different magicians but doing the same tricks.
Right.
They're doing the same thing. Now, one thing that I've always found interesting, sorry, getting attacked by a little fly. One thing that I found very interesting is, and I'm sure you will find this amusing, is that as I come to do a trick, this has happened on more than one occasion, where as the cards or something like that come out of the pocket, it's usually the cards. As the cards come out of the pocket, somebody interrupts at that point and says, "Oh, I've seen this one." Like, well, there's so much wrong with that. I mean, I've not even took the cards out of the box yet. They're barely out of my pocket.
Yeah.
And they know what I'm going to do. They should be doing my job in essence. So it's because they've seen something similar, or somebody's used the same deck of cards and they think they've seen it before. And a lot of the time, they're probably right. So, like you rightly said, the things that I will do, I purposely make different. I don't want to be the same person, but a different person doing the same tricks that they've seen at a different wedding. So it's very important. And to be fair, I think when I try to strive to find my own unique selling point, if you want to call it that, they're becoming more and more difficult to really figure out anyway, is to just do something completely different that no one else is doing. So by and large, I'll just perform my own material because nobody else will be performing my material. So they'll never have seen it before unless they've seen me before.
Exactly.
So do you make up your own Obviously, you're obviously going to be influenced by certain things, and
Sure.
do you try and come up with your own spin on things and your own tricks?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want like that. Honestly, I can't say it enough. I don't want to be that. The guy I mentioned a minute ago, as soon as I pulled the cards out of my pocket, goes, "I've seen this before." I don't want him to be right. It has to be something he's not seen before. Otherwise, what you could obviously it's got to justify your fee as well. You've got justify your fee. Why if I'm X amount and they say, well, I can go down the road and get someone similar. Well, yeah, they're probably right of them performing all the same stuff.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping you. But if you go down the road, you're not going to get somebody to perform the stuff that I'll do. Because, like I say, I'll just make sure it's my stuff, and then that way nobody else can be copying it. So, yeah.
What got you into magic?
Boredom.
Boredom, really?
Boredom, yeah. I think we'd not long we'd moved into the house. I was living with my parents at the time, so not long moved into this house. We got the first time we'd had internet and that kind of thing, so we got that connected. And I think probably David Blaine had just done his special or something like that, or he'd done a few at the time, so he was still a big dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was thinking, what can I search for apart from the obvious when you're a teenager living at home? But it was basically
what you're talking about.
what can I do? I need a hobby, and thinking about it, well, let's have a little look into this magic stuff. I used to have like a little magic set as a kid, but never really did anything with it. So yeah, I went just searching online for like books and DVDs, that kind of stuff, and just started from there. Really.
Is there a particular person that you aspired, magician-wise, to be, and someone that you every new book or every new video that came out, you always like, oh, I've got to get him?
That's a very good question, isn't it? That's a very good question, because you've got normally the big guns that you see on TV, like your David Blaine's, and then a few years later, definitely your Darren Browns, who don't really tend to throw anything out there, really, for the magic community as such. So eventually you'd see, again, trying to put it in a perspective that the viewers would understand, is that everybody knows a really good musical artist who's not mega famous, right? They're just really successful at what they do, but they're just not, they're not right up there with your Elton Johns and whatnot. It's the same with magicians. You've got those on telly at the top of the game, and then there's a whole range of other ones that all the working professionals and whatnot will look up to, as you say, prior to. So, yeah, there was a whole bunch of them, and definitely once David Blaine started dying down a little bit, Darren exploded onto the scene with all of his mind games, which was astonishing.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody.
He used to do like a show that lasted a couple of days, didn't he? On the telly, Darren Brown. He used to do some. Was it mind controls?
Yeah, that was exactly the name of the series.
Just amazing though, because there's so many brilliant magicians probably, and you don't really tap into it because you don't know who you're looking for. If you know what I mean, there's so many great ones. There's a guy who's always popping, Julius, someone popping up. He's crackers in, popping up on Instagram all the time. And he's just doing tricks, and then he's got his it must be his girlfriend or something who's showing them what he's doing really. But I don't know if I'm into it. Oh, this is what he's doing. I quite like the mystery of magic. That's what magic's all about, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, I know exactly. It's Julius Dean, I believe. That's him. Is. Yeah, he keeps popping up a lot, and I've not watched any of the videos myself because I already know what he's all about from previous ventures. But you know what? If he's getting all the viewers, he's getting his payday, isn't he? And if people are buying his stuff, and he's not really giving away anything that the likes of myself would really go to a wedding and work. So he's probably making a pretty good for him doing what he's doing. But you're right. If you want to keep the mystery to yourself, then like me, I don't watch it.
Because one of the things I was going to ask you is that obviously you're part of the Magic Circle. I'm assuming that, but I think every magician is part of the Magic Circle. I'm right by saying that?
It is. It's an assumption that is a little bit off.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not part of the Magic Circle. Currently don't really have much of an interest in joining. It could probably add maybe an extra zero or something to your... Oh, no, probably not a zero, but maybe a few hundred to your fee. But frankly, in the Northwest, no one's going to be paying that anyway, realistically. So, it's nice for your advertising and that kind of thing, but I don't really have much of an interest.
So what is, because I don't know much about it, what is the Magic Circle?
So the Magic is probably it's like the biggest group in the world for in magicians. It would be famously, you've got like many different magicians who are part of it, but then you've got people like Penn and Teller who aren't, and they won't let them in because they're revealing tricks, such like, even though it was always their own tricks that they were revealing.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people, even professionals, refer to it also as a club for amateurs, which might not be the impression that the general public get of it. I know that you have to, I think anyway, last time I heard, you have to have an exam as well to get in the Magic Circle. Wow. You need 2 people that have known you for a couple of years who are already part of the Magic Circle. And it's in London as well, so I don't know. I'm just not travelling down there to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, so a Penn and Teller not in the Magic Circle then?
No.
Aren't they? Wow.
No.
Interesting duo though, aren't they?
Yeah, they're fantastic.
I used to watch them years ago, and I think was it he caught the bullet in his teeth?
Yes. Yes, I was lucky enough to actually meet them in Vegas.
Oh wow!
That was at their show where, thankfully, they did that particular bullet catch routine, which, yeah, as you know, it's just phenomenal. It's even better to see it live when you still can't see what's going on. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, because they and the good thing about them is because they're a double act. And the other one doesn't speak. The little guy doesn't speak, does he?
But no.
It's a great little gimmick though they've got, and the other guy's massive, isn't he? He's a big, tall fella, and he's So it's a great little comedy act as well as magic, which works on that side of things as well. So I think as a magician, that's why we kind of, when we first met you, Sam, we thought, oh, he's a good fella to talk to. He's, you know what I mean. The tricks you did on us were fab, and we kind of said, "Oh, right, let's get him on board."
I mean, yeah, yes to everything that you've just said. I remember you doing the 1 to 50 in your phone, and it had all the different celebrities on. I can't remember the whole trick, but you got it right. And I was just stood there, and I was just perplexed at how you managed to not only guess it right. I'm perplexed now.
I thought it was more amazing that you had to guess a celebrity, and Sam picked himself, and he still got it.
Less of that, please.
Not in my phone.
I 5 minutes of fame. It was nothing. It was just. But there we go. Anyway, Barry. Can we see some magic? Is there any chance you could do some magic for us now?
Yeah, we could try a little something for you.
Fantastic.
But by the way, just want to make something clear. You mentioned about the list of 1 to 50.
Yeah.
Let's not undersell this. It was a list of 1 to 100.
Oh,
okay.
So it's double. So let's just clarify that for here on record.
It was a double. Yeah.
This was going to double up as something else. Now, I have purposely a written list of numbers that I've wrote down just in case people were interested, if they were trying to get into that particular industry or something like that. We can always come back to this later on if you want me to. It's not really that interesting, but nonetheless, we can still work with the numbers. So I just thought I'll use the numbers that I've written down, which are all to do with how much I've spent with like advertising, creating a brand for the wedding industry, and spending on wedding fairs, all that kind of stuff, which you probably know yourself is just crazy amounts.
Yes.
But nonetheless, we'll come back to this. Can we just see it? I'm going to have to sit on the side a little bit.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
What if I was to ask you? Are you relatively predictable people, or do you tend to think that you're not so predictable?
I would like to think I'm pretty good at the lottery, but
okay, cool.
I do.
As a person, are you a predictable person?
Would you say I'm predictable, Chris?
I'd say yeah. No, I wouldn't say you're not. I wouldn't say you're predictable.
You wouldn't say predictable, but people would say that they're not predictable. They like to think that they can be unpredictable.
Yep.
And that itself makes them predictable, right?
Yep.
Makes sense, because I know they're going to say that they're unpredictable, and then they'll just do something completely completely off. If you said to me, I'm not very predictable, and I asked you to think of an animal, you're less likely to go with the obvious cat and dog.
Yeah.
So that, you go for something a bit more outlandish. So, Chris, I'm probably going to start with you here. I'll come back to the numbers later on. They were just for something else, but we're going to see between yourself and Sam if we can create a few more little numbers, and it's just going to be based on the choices. So let me just start it off so that right across this top row, you've got a 4, an 8, and a 9. Fair enough?
Yep.
So, Chris, you're going to go for a listed numbers. Which of those 3 digits do you want to start us off? The 4, the 8, or the 9?
The 8.
Are you sure? Okay, so we'll start that off over here, and we'll get rid of it. Sam?
Yep.
We're going to just move on to line 2 here. You've got a 2, a 6, and a 1. Which of those would you like for the second digit of our number? A 2, 6, or a 1? Predictable.
Oh, don't say that.
Get rid of it. Chris, back to yourself. You've now got a 7, a 5, or a 6. What would you like?
I'm going to go for 6.
Are you sure? Do you want to change your mind?
No, I'm not going to change my mind.
I knew you wouldn't. You're predictable.
Don't read it.
So we get rid. Sam, back to yourself and back to the top. Now you're left with a 4 and a 9. But I want this to be a completely free choice, just for you. Whenever you're ready, a 4 or a 9.
I'm going to go for a number 9.
Ooh, let's get rid. Chris, back to yourself. I'll hold that up a bit so we can keep it on camera. We've got 6 or a 1.
6, please. 6, please.
Ooh, he went.
Yeah.
No messing.
Predictable.
It could be. And Sam, that leaves you with a 7 or a 5 to end this number.
7.
No.
Oh.
I was going to say go with the one that feels lucky, but you kind of did anyway.
Okay.
No problem. Now, we're left with a number by default now. A 4, a 1, and the final 5. So we get rid of them. Now, thinking about this, Chris, if you'd have started off your number with a 9, the total that this would come to would at least be 100 higher. And the same if we'd gone with the head numbers, it'd be different. There's lots of different permutations to this. I don't even get into it. It's ridiculous. But have either of you just got the calculator on your phone if you want to work it out with me?
I've got one.
You can, if you need me to shout out the numbers, you can, or you can see them on the screen. I'll write down the total when you've got them. I think both of them are at it here, so that they can actually verify that the number.
I'm gonna let Sam. I haven't got a calculator, so Sam, you do.
So Sam's doing it.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
He's caroled them.
I've got my calculator.
Go for it. So you've got an 826. 826 is the first number.
Yep.
Add 967.
967.
And then add your final number, 415. I think I've got it, but I'm not 100%.
Okay, do I show you the answer?
Yeah, you can do. We'll write it underneath for everybody at home.
2208.
2208. Okay, that's bad, right? So that's a random number, and if you'd have flipped any of those around, made different choices, we would have a different number, right?
Yeah.
Now, I said about us all being very, very predictable. You went with 2,208 in the end.
Yep.
I didn't have time to write any of the numbers down.
What? Are you kidding me?
So it's a good job you went for,
Wow.
for the way that you did. So,
fantastic, man. Fantastic. Wow.
very cool.
Absolutely
Oh,
unbelievable.
that's good.
And they're using the figures that are they were genuinely the figures for my for what I've spent in this year just for like wedding fairs and advertising and building everything back up. But I thought it'd be useful to do a little trip with those numbers as well. So
there you go, folks. Magic and financial advice as well.
And financial advice. We come back to it.
And that it's funny that because that's our expenses, isn't it, Sam? When we gig.
I mean, we can give a little bit away, but not a lot. That was fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Barry.
That's no problem.
I'm shocked, Chris.
Well, we knew what it was like because when we first met him, we were like, "Hang on, that's pretty good." Do you know what I mean? So, and that's the thing with magic. I think you've got to leave that kind of, and that's why some magicians they do the trick and walk away. It leaves people that sort of what just happened in that moment, and then they're gone. David Blaine did that a lot, didn't he? He just kind of walked off and.
Yeah, just when you say that, I was literally just about to just bugger off and leave you.
That was it. Mic drop.
Go back.
No, sorry, cards drop.
Just one.
Like card, like
Cards drop.
and down on the floor.
Catherine's cousin, my cousin, Michael. You know Michael from round your way. He's Michael.
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, he's always doing magic, and we say so. We've got a show. So every time we have like a family meal, there's a pack of cards in his pocket, or he's always doing something. But I said to Catherine, he's Catherine when I first met. She said, you always know where he's been because there's a card stuck on the ceiling.
Yes. Yeah, I can't say anything more to that. Yeah, absolutely right.
It's just like a card on his. But he's great at magic, and I know it must be good because there's you must have. Have you got loads of mates who do it magic with as well, or?
Strangely enough, there's 3 of us in Widnes. There's a couple in Runcorn, so just over the bridge, and at least one that I know of in Frodsham, who I'm working on a project with at the minute. He's putting on a show in the Brinley on the
fab.
Yeah, which is a bit different. Mind reading. We literally just got. His name's Blake Dawes. It's on the 29th of November that he's currently putting the show on. Should it actually go ahead, and the tickets have just gone on sale. Not that I'm plugging it, but what I mean is that it was really weird how that came to be, because apart from the performing side of things, I have I don't know if you'd call it a side business where I also just I'll make tricks or do tricks that other magicians can buy and use. And he just me one day buying something and noticed that his address was in Frodsham, so literally 20 minutes away from myself.
Oh wow.
So we got talking, and then as he let me know he was starting work on this thing and wanted some ideas, and for the last couple of months we've batted a few around, and he's now got a show that's going ahead, so it's all very interesting.
So what's that? Is that
very interesting?
So what's that? Is that just a theatre show in the Brinley? Is it?
Yes. Yeah.
You'd be doing just getting people of the audience to participate and.
Yeah. So that literally the best way of putting it. If anybody's ever been to like a Derren Brown show, that kind of style. So mind reader at the front, and the audience is your plaything. So.
And everyone's like that, But you know, if you pay to go to something like that, the chances are you're gonna be dragged up. Do you know what I mean? You've always got to have that assumption.
Going to have potentially maybe 20-30% of the people who just dragged along their partners or something like that, who have absolutely no intention of really being there other than to just support their own partner's interests. So there is always that aspect of it. There's those people who don't want to. It's not like a wedding fair where they're just trying to do that weird crab walk past me, see me. So that's one of the weird things out there.
I think that's the good thing about the wedding fair, because you can just mingle round, and table magic's quite good because you can do it, and then you can go and come back and see that and do the same trick again, which is good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like every few tables you can move the tricks, and you can't have a pocket full of different tricks all night. It's not going to work. It's going to be rubbish, and you're going to be like the Michelin man.
You get a new trick.
Yeah.
How long does it kind of take to learn a new trick?
Okay, so it can totally vary.
Right.
Example, you could get after a few. It's so difficult, isn't it? Because after a few years, I'm really dexterous with cards, so I could pick up a new card trick relatively straightforward. Whereas in the early days, it would have been an absolute nightmare trying to do it. But some of the numbers that you seen a minute ago, I'm not even going to lie to you. Absolute honest truth. That's the first time I've ever performed it. And I've just been working on that for so long, I've totally forgotten. It's just about getting people to go for the right numbers in the right order, the way that you want them to. And it's a massive risk, but it's also interesting because it can fail. So, wouldn't necessarily be doing that at a wedding where it can fail, because you don't want to look stupid. But here I am doing a podcast where it could have failed. So
one thing that's on my notes for questions for you, Barry, is what was the worst kind of magic experience or something that went wrong that you've ever done?
That's a good one.
And scenario and people were watching. Tell me, we want to know.
This is where you definitely need Michael Ledbetter to intervene. He's got some absolute belters that are way better than mine. I hope he's.
Oh, I've seen a few from there, and he gets over them. He gets over them.
Definitely, but he's just got some absolute fire that is just
fire. I was there once when he set someone on fire.
Oh my days!
Yeah, just brilliant. But Mike's stories are fantastic. He is fantastic.
He's a brilliant brilliant magician, and he's
a brilliant musician as well.
He's brilliant. He's good. But I did a Zoom quiz with Mike the other night. So I'll just say this. And Mike's backdrop was all different ones. It was like the Friends lounge, the sitting room, and then there was the shining hallway, and all you could see was the eyes in the brilliant. He is a great magician, and he every time you go on a family meal or something, he's doing something that'll just blow you away, and you think, what has just happened?
He does. It's fantastic. I love that word for magic. If I was to, that obviously took the spotlight right off my embarrassing stories. Do you know what? I think in the early days there was probably some real just shockers where I think in the early days when you are performing, you get so put on the spot when you do get the likes of a heckler, or if something goes wrong, you don't really know how to get out of it, and you just have to call it a day on that particular thing because it's gone down the pan. But you learn so much from it. Like now, if it's like having a risk rating in work or something like that. It's like what's the risk of this trick going wrong, and if it goes wrong, what's the risk of it or not having a comeback to it? And if the answer is simply there is no comeback to it, you don't include it. So you just now put in stuff that if it goes wrong, people won't know, and I can just dance around it. So you learn so much from it. I remember being at a wedding fair. But this wasn't even so long ago either. This was probably only within a year. Now, if I get stuff wrong now, I don't really mind. It doesn't bother me. I've just passed it. I like the leather skin on that one. I remember just doing something with a card, and one of the cards just flew off.
Oh wow!
This like ace was meant to change into a queen or something, and this queen that was hidden had just flew off over this chap's head. And he noticed, and then he looks on the floor, and I'm just looking at him, looked back at him, and just literally looked him dead in the eyes and went, "That didn't happen." You just dance around it. There was a chap at another wedding fair, actually. This made me laugh, though, so if you need to know what my response was to this guy out, unfortunately, I just laughed right in his face, but I couldn't help it. So it's an older gentleman, and he comes wondering what I do. It's not always that obvious, if I'm being honest, what I do, because sometimes people see it and it puts them off a little bit. So he comes right over to the stand where we've got this great big banner. It's got a great big picture of me on it, sadly. And he's leaning in a little bit to try and see what it is. And he's like this, looking at stuff. And he said, so what are you? Are you a photographer? Photography? No, I said, I'm a magician. And he just looked at me and he went, a magician? Dear God, no. He did. That was it. Dear God, and just walked off. And it just made me laugh. I couldn't.
We've had a fair few characters at the wedding fairs, to be honest, haven't we, Chris? We've had a fair few characters.
They're great, though. They're great because you meet yourself at them, and you know what you're going to get at wedding fairs. People are obviously, they want something wow for the weddings and events even, and you know what you're going to get with a magician. We did a charity do, didn't we, Sam? And there was a magician doing stuff.
That was at the Hilton, wasn't it? The Hilton.
It was at the Hilton, yeah, and it's different. People were really embracing it, and I think it's stuff like that when you're at a corporate event or it is different, and it's fun. I think it's fun. It puts you on the spot, though. It really does when you see it, and I can see why some people do that. I remember watching as a kid. My granddad used to watch Tommy Cooper.
Oh yeah,
doing his stuff, and he always used to think he'd get it wrong, but he was actually pretty good, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a bit like Les Dawson playing the piano badly. You have to be really good to make it look that bad. That's the best analogy I've got for it. There's probably a lot of younger viewers going, "Who the hell's Les Dawson?" But just YouTube it.
Yeah, but that's magic, though, isn't it? And I think that's progressed, and the people are getting it. It's getting more outrageous. Dynamo is another one. He was walking on water, and it's just like it must. I don't know. Is that too far for magic? Do you think?
That's a brilliant question. I will give you 10 points for that. I like that question. So yeah, you're in the lead there. 10 points. Yeah, I think I can only speak from my own point of view, of course. I mean, a lot of people will say it's great that it's on telly, so people then want a magician at, say, the weddings. But the problem is, if you're watching Dynamo and think, do you know what, I need a magician at my wedding, then you know what's going to happen, don't you? As soon as they see me, they're going to ask me to walk on water or throw their iPhone into a bottle.
Yeah,
that's also what they then expect. And we have to be honest here and say, well, there's a lot of telly magic out there that's telly magic for a reason.
Yeah.
But I don't mean that it's all just fake. I'm not saying that kind of stuff, that it's just all set up. But think of theatre. You can get away with way more in a theatre than you would in a one-to-one setting. So it's that kind of thing. You've got greater leeway, should we say?
Yeah.
An artistic license.
But I think, yeah, and I think that's important. But when you get like an act like Dynamo and stuff, it brings it back into the public sort of interest in it, because there's not many magicians on the telly now, is there?
No, I mean it's difficult, isn't it? We've got Dynamo, who's probably the first one that pops into mind for TV magician, and realistically, I know Darren still does the rounds with various specials, but he's kind of taken it away from, I suppose, even
telly, yeah, and you don't realize. I always remember watching like Penn and Teller. They were always on late night, so you never really got a chance to see them when you were younger. But there's not really any magicians.
There's Stephen Mulhern, but he doesn't do magic per se. He does that In for a Penny on ITV, and he's forever on Ant and Deck, Saturday Night Takeaway, and I think he used to do Britain's Got Talent, the extra show.
Yeah.
You always get one on Britain's Got Talent, a magician, don't you?
Picking up more and more in recent years as well, doesn't it? So that's always good. That's keeping it on telly, and yeah, you don't really get, none of them really come away with a special. I think the only one that ever came away with a special, which was a one-night special on a Saturday night on ITV, was that Darcy Oak fella who just had all the doves and the great big birds, and that was a surprise because that's a relatively old kind of magic shtick, isn't it? Really.
But it's coming back. I'd say magician, and it's got a niche following.
Yeah.
That Julian's fella, he's got 6 million Instagram followers, so there's a lot of people looking at it. Do you know what I mean?
There is interested, and that's always good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Keep interest out there. If there's nothing like that out there, even these people just giving away secrets, and it just dies off, doesn't it? Like anything.
It's the shock factor that you want at your event, isn't it? At the end of the day.
I'm sure if there was a fantastic mime out there or something like that, and they were everywhere, and people would start having them at weddings, and as soon as it's in front of your face, people start buying it. I mean, I've got to compete with the likes of a donut stand, haven't I, at a wedding? Get your band in. Number one, well, photographer number one, let's be honest, and likes your band and your DJ, and then when you've got a bit of money left, it's either
stand on a magician.
An owl to bring in the rings. It's like, oh
my god, that's absolutely made me howl. That's brilliant.
So that's the hardest part of the job, isn't it? Convincing people that you're better than a photo booth.
Yeah, and I think the idea that you'd kind of just wander over and just wow it and then walk off. That's how you got us.
Do you know what? Of something, and it's kind of what I just said, I suppose. But this couple came over to me at a wedding fair, and the groom to be said, "You know what? I love magic. I really want a magician." And his missus instantly said, "There's absolutely no way, no offence, Mr. Magician, that we're having you at our wedding, because it's just so tacky and corny.
Really?
And the groom turned to her without batting an eyelid and said, "You've just been stood there for half an hour trying to negotiate a photo booth where you want to stand there with a fake mustache and a hat on." I said, "Thank you very much, mate." I said, "You just took the word right out of my mouth better than," and he put it so more succinctly than I could have. It was brilliant.
But
it's unique.
It's unique for one, but I think you get more enjoyment out of a magician than you do a donut. I'm going to be...
Depends who you
it
talk
does
to.
depend who you talk to, but for me personally, it's the shock factor. It's the shock. I don't get the shock factor from a donut.
You've never had a Krispy Kreme. If it was between myself and...
Hey, I tell you what, though. If I had a donut, I'd make it disappear quite quickly.
Now, Chris, you've been practicing this week your new trick, and I believe you wanted to.
Oh yeah, I've got 2 tricks this week. I'm going
to do a voice special, so you can either turn around or you can press the buzzer.
No, I'm gonna do this one first. Ready?
I was going to be like,
magic!
I'll tell you what. I'm really glad you were doing it this high up onto the camera and not just down here.
Well, I did do that to Sam before, and he said it. I'll try my second one, boy.
I like that
before, wasn't it, Sam?
You've got better.
This is the pièce de résistance. This is the one.
This is right. Ready? Okay, so I'm gonna just.
Hooray! We did it. Finally.
I'm tempted to just end the podcast now, Chris, because you've disappeared.
I'm back.
Don't worry.
I gave the trick away, but how did it look? It looked better than before when I nearly fell over.
I was almost hoping that as you were doing that, your little boy was going to appear on your knee or something really spectacular.
He did. I'd be absolutely fuming because should be in bed.
Yep.
Fair point.
Now we've probably got.
Yeah, but it's as I say, it's great to work with you, and we've got things lined up, and you've got bookings all booked up, and you're going to transfer those bookings. You said
transferring over to next year mainly.
That seems to be what's happening at the moment to everything. As I say, it's up in the air. We don't know what's going on. Sam, you've been updating the website as well this week.
Yeah, we've added 1 new artist as of yesterday. So you can guys go and check that out. That's Echo Strings, so I give them a little shout out. They are a 4-piece quartet, string quartet, and they offer a plethora of different styles and genres, from modern music to musical theatre to 80s, 90s, 70s, the whole lot. They've got a really large repertoire of songs and be perfect for any reception or wedding, especially when they're signing the names. I think that would be an excellent addition to their day. And also as well, Barry himself. We can have Barry as part of any wedding. That would be fantastic.
Very true. Yeah. All this Instagram stuff relatively new as well. So as usual, you can normally find me because my Bazz has the 2 Z's in, so it's relatively easy to find when it's Bazz the Magician.
And you got your logo on your shirt there, so you
just in case, you never know. Yeah, Bazz. Oh, do you know what? That just reminds me. How long have we got left?
Well, we've probably got. Well, we've pretty much done the 45, Barry. So I don't know if you want to do your last trick.
It's not really a trick. It's just something that's really bizarre. Is the light still good in here, or do you need to put the light on?
No, that's brilliant. Was still good, yeah.
Remember before when we were doing like the numbers and that kind of thing?
Yep.
And you can verify yourself that it was the 2,208, right? And we predicted that. But you know why?
Go on.
Because it kind of jogs people to remember what my name is.
Oh.
Oh my God.
2Z, so I've actually...
Pull it back a bit.
There we go. Can you see it now?
Oh.
It's just brilliant. Look at that. That's brilliant.
So you really did have to pick those numbers. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And that's why he's with Sea Live Entertainment.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the Sea Live podcast. As always, make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook C Live, Twitter C Live Enter1, and on Instagram C Live UK. Thank you very much, Barry. It has been an absolute privilege and pleasure to have
I've
you.
really enjoyed this chat. I think it's been absolutely brilliant.
Chris.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Chris, as always, thank you again.
Yeah, we'll see you next week, everyone. Be safe. Oh, can we say happy birthday to Meg?
Of course,
as well?
yeah. Happy birthday, Meg. We had Meg on a couple of weeks ago. She's a singer-songwriter from Liverpool and the world. And yes, she. Let's get that one right. Happy birthday, Meg. Hope you're having a good day. Not that she's watching. She's probably getting drunk in the house. Anyway, thank you so much.
Her mum's probably phoning.
Yeah, you're right, actually. So from Barry, Chris, and myself, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in this evening. We'll see you next week with another guest. And make sure you check out our website, www.clive.co.uk. Check out all of our fantastic artists, including Barry. And you can book them for 2021. And depending if we can get you artists for 2020 as well. But thank you so much. Stay safe. Good night and God bless. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.